What's up guys, Josh from StrengthSide. Today I'm going to give you a set of exercises that you can use to stretch and strengthen your hip flexors. Now what we've seen over the years is the more traditional hip flexor stretching doesn't quite give us the gains that we're looking for, and to really improve the hip flexor flexibility and range of motion, we need to actually strengthen it while we stretch it, right? Strength side. So if you have anterior pelvic tilt, this is super important that you get your hip flexors flexible and also strong, okay? So if you do have anterior pelvic tilt, be sure to check out our exclusive videos on fixing that are helping a lot of people fix their anterior pelvic tilt right now. Let's get to this progression of exercises. All right, so let's get ourselves out of this more traditional hip flexor stretch here, and we're gonna kind of bring this back so we're greater than 90 degrees now. This knee's behind the hip here. And instead of just sitting here and kind of stretching my hip flexor, I need to be active here, okay? So what needs to happen is that I need to really squeeze my butt. I need to tighten up my core. Right when you do that, if you squeeze the butt, tighten up the core, posterior tilt here, you'll feel that hip flexor already start to stretch. And what's really going to top it off is if I press my knee down into the ground, okay? So I'm here, and I'm just really pressing that knee down, right? The knee, the foot, everything is really just being contracted and pressed there. And like I mentioned, now we're going to start to increase strength in this position, right? It's not enough just to do this, right? This is just kind of hanging on my joints. This is making myself stabilize, strengthen the hip flexor in the stretched position, all right? So I'm going to hang out here. You can hold pressing the knee down, or you can do contractions, so kind of relax, hold it for about 5 seconds, relax, okay? That's step one. Step two is to turn this into a standing hip flexor stretch. Now that I'm standing, this leg has to support my body, so it has to really stabilize and use a lot of strength here, okay? So same thing, I'm gonna get in this position here, boom. What I'm really looking to do is all those same principles: squeeze the butt, tighten up the core, posterior tilt the pelvis, and now I'm gonna really be trying to straighten my knee out back here, okay? So the longer my stance, the more stretch I'm gonna get. But we have to keep the pelvis tucked. If I get here, I'm gonna lose that stretch. Keep the pelvis tucked. I'm pressing my foot down into the ground. That's really making this work, okay? Boom. So you can mess around with different levels here. You can bend more into this leg. That might give you a little bit more of an intense stretch. Really squeeze the butt. Keep the toe pointed facing forward. That's gonna really keep my hips squared up. If I start doing this, I'm cheating the stretch, okay? Last thing that you can add is just to put your hands up, okay? Just like this. Boom. You should feel your hip flexor very intensely. All right, so those are our two kind of loaded stretches to then get us to this last point that we're gonna do a split squat, okay? So split squat's gonna be using some dynamic strength in and out of the motion. Your hip flexor is gonna be getting stretched and then less stretched, okay? So we're gonna go back to this. The standing stretch already prepared you for it. I'm here, boom. I'm actually gonna start with this leg fully locked out, this leg fully locked out, and then I'm gonna squat down into my front leg while keeping my glute tight and my core tight, okay? Here, boom, keeping this knee off the ground. I'm trying to straighten that knee. I'm gonna press myself back, okay? Hands, put them here, here, whatever feels right for you. I'm into this leg, keeping this tight, press myself back. Keep everything squared up. Keep the hips going forward. Here, trying to keep that back knee as straight as I can. That's going to give you the most stretch while you're doing this, okay? This is also gonna increase the strength of your squat and other motions as well, okay? All right, guys, we started with 2 stretches. They progressively got a little bit harder. In with the front squat, we're strengthening and increasing flexibility at the same time. And just to add, I've been able to actually achieve the full front splits through just doing a variation of these exercises that I just showed you. So really put some time into trying to increase your strength and flexibility of the hip flexors at the same time, and you're gonna get a lot out of it. Like I mentioned before, check out our free exclusive videos on fixing anterior pelvic tilt. There'll be a link on the screen. Remember that you have the power within you. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next video.